Welcome to Cody and the Cinema. Today I'm discussing my favorite films from the 1940s in a series called 100 Years of Movie Favorites. And what I do is I pick one movie from each year from that decade. And I have other videos as well. I've done the 30s and the 20s. You should check those out. But I'll start with my 1940 pick. Long time been my favorite Disney movie, Pinocchio. The original Pinocchio with some of the most terrific animation ever put to screen. The story of a little boy who is created as a wooden object for Geppetto, and he eventually comes to life through magical powers, and he has to learn about how to live life correctly through the help of his friend Jiminy Cricket. It is a fantastic, timeless tale of endurance, resilience, and just learning how to deal with your own mistakes and what it means to be loyal. And I just think it's one of the most beautifully conceived films from Disney. And I've seen it many times, and I just love it so much. And I've talked about it multiple times on my channel. It was actually one of the very first videos I did, was talk about Pinocchio. And I like my certified fresh Rotten Tomatoes version of it here. Kind of fun with Jiminy Cricket. That's my favorite Disney. I'd be curious what your favorites are. As another note, sometimes people pick on me about this and they think, well, it's kind of a childish movie. It is not. Pinocchio is dark, folks. The Pleasure Island scenes, whew, what a film. Now, my second pick is one I've actually only seen for 1941. I looked at a few different films, and I'm going to pick Citizen Kane. And I've only seen Citizen Kane once, and I'm picking it for a few reasons. I don't have a whole lot of choices in the 41 slot. I actually only have a DVD in my big pack of DVDs here, of just random DVDs I have. So I need to look at the Criterion version. So if you all have that, let me know. I just was really put off by the big X, but maybe I should watch it again. But like I said, I haven't seen Citizen Kane in a long, long time, but it was a really good cinematic memory for me because I remember I had a day off and I was going through some of the classics like early on. And I remember just putting it on a small TV and really being overwhelmed emotionally in some ways by that last Rosebud piece there. But anyway, it's about a newspaper magnate who is taken from his mother as a boy, and he kind of turns into this deeply influential figure. There's the whole thing with Xanadu that those of you who have seen really know the images surrounding that. Orson Welles' Joseph Cotten, really good. I was reminded of this film when I was watching Ed Wood recently, and that great Orson Welles cameo in there, not the real Orson Welles, represented by the guy from Full Metal Jacket. But it's a good cinematic memory. It's a really strong film. Visually, I think it was too influential not to mention and not to be most people's 1941 pick. So, I mean, I don't know what else I would go with for that year. Now, 1942, I'm going to go with a film that I talk about any chance I get. One of my favorite covers on a Criterion, this is Cat People. I love Cat People. I have been a fan of Cat People since early on when I was trying to find, movies that were older and stuff I hadn't seen before. So I've been a fan of this for years. But basically, this woman in Manhattan believes that there's an ancient curse and that she can't get too close to a man because she might turn into a scary cat. It is a silly concept when you hear about it, and I didn't really know how I would feel about it whenever I first saw it, but it is a black and white piece of minimalism that gets a lot out of a pretty low budget. Martin Scorsese is, I think, responsible in large part for bringing this Val Lewton project to us. Jacques Turner is that director who is very, accomplished, did a great job with this, and he uses what the back of the Criterion calls subtle shadows and creative audio cues to make one of the studio's most successful movies of the 40s. This thing holds up, and you know what? I just realized I haven't looked at my poster in a while. So if you get the Criterion version, because I know a lot of y'all that follow my channel do, it's awesome because it's kind of like you get this cat poster, but then on the back of it, if you get the Criterion, you got this essay in there. It's really neat. It's been a long time since I've read it. And I talk about Cat People and I always forget to go back and watch it again. Easy watch, fun movie. Even the disc on this one's cool. But I love it so much. Cat People. Definitely an ambiguous, difficult to nail down film. All right, 1943, we have a film about witchcraft and the effects of that from Carl Theodor Dreyer called Day of Wrath. and that's my choice for that year. I have, well, there's Or Dead. I have my Dreyer collection here. And I think I have a copy of Day of Wrath. Or Dead and Day of Wrath are on the same disc. Okay. So you get Day of Wrath on there. Very underwhelming presentation here from BFI, but it's a great film. So this Danish village in the early 1600s, a woman named Anne, whose mother is thought to be a witch, develops sympathy toward an old woman who is hiding out because she might be a witch. There is some truly terrifying torture and so forth in here. The didactic feeling of just haunting, awful, abysmal terribleness in this film. The suspicion of the characters, the young woman who falls in love with the wrong person, and how that leads to just one chaotic event after another. I mean, it is claustrophobic. It's scary, and I really like Day of Wrath. Bleak, haunting, memorable, cultish behavior from the church there. Just a terrific motion picture, and I think one of Dreyer's very finest. Moving on to 1944, film that, gosh, I love this in 4K. If you have not seen Double Indemnity in 4K, do that. I watched this one time outside in a tea garden, or maybe it was some kind of outdoor event, and there were flowers everywhere. I don't remember what it was, but I know that they had this thing showing up on the big screen, and I was watching it, and I had seen Double Indemnity once, and I had seen it on DVD, and I watched it on the big screen, and I was like, I want to see it again, and I finally got the 4K, and really, really love the 4K here. This is one of the great film noirs of all time, directed by Billy Wilder, Fred MacMurray, Barbara Stanwyck, and they find themselves in the middle of this insurance fraud scam, which is complicated because Fred MacMurray's character is in the insurance fraud detecting business. And it's one of those films that just builds conflict from so many different angles that you got that teapot boiling pressure point thing going on. And Edwin Robinson is one of his best performances in this film. He's kind of funny and charismatic, and he's trying to piece together this fraud with this whole insurance setup with this train and this death, and it just and Stanwyck is one of the best femme fatales in the collection. I truly have always every time I see this movie, I like it a little better, and it's finally moved up to my favorite of a year where I have quite a few choices I can make in 1944. 44 was a really good movie year, but one I like even better, John Stahl's Leave Her to Heaven, with one of the coolest covers Criterion's ever done, man. Look at that. Kind of reminds you of the red shoes, all that red. Jean Tierney is this woman who kind of is intoxicating to this writer who sees her on a train, and they end up getting married, and the whole story is about how possessive and controlling and just overbearing she is. But the way the story unfolds, you don't exactly feel sorry for her, but you do, despite how terrible she is in the film. One of the most terrifying sequences in any movie is when she is in the water in a boat. And if you know the scene I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. The book, I went and read the book. The book's awesome. It's a little too much. The film actually, I think, improves the book in some ways. But you should read the book if you've seen the movie. It's one of those, it almost feels like a 60s movie. It's so mature, and the themes are so well developed, and the performances are so terrific, and it's just I love Leave Her to Heaven. I love it. Seriously, I just love it. Okay, next film, moving on, because I'm going to say a little bit more about Leave Her to Heaven in a second. My Darling Clementine, 1946. John Ford, one of my favorite directors, directed this version of the OK Corral story, which I was by Tombstone fairly recently, and I didn't get to go by. I just, when you're limited on time. But anyway, he's Wyatt Earp, and, you have Walter Brennan in there in a terrific performance. As far as, these go, like Frontier Marshal, Tombstone, this will probably always be my favorite version of this story. Henry Fonda, I'm a Once Upon a Time in the West. I'm a mega fan of that movie in some ways, and so how are you not going to pick a John Ford film from that year? Real good, real scenic, very John Ford-esque. 97 minutes, clean, smooth film. All right, next up on our list here, we have a film I talk about every so often because it's a gorgeous film. Probably the actually, I would say this is the prettiest film of the decade. It's not necessarily like the best story overall, and it's not necessarily the best pace, but Black Narcissist is like the 1940s like premier like good looking film from Pressburger and Michael Powell, one of those productions. So a group of nuns, they are sent to a mountain in the Himalayas, and someone maybe gets a crush on someone local, and a lot of just crazy, terrifying stuff happens. Black Narcissus, like that's the thing about it. It's just a beautiful film. I believe it's in Technicolor too, probably. And Deborah Kerr stars. Like this is just a gorgeous film. It's one of those movies that even if you think it's a little like slow or something, it's just too pretty not to look at. Okay, two more in the decade. So I have a copy of Fort Apache, which is my 1948 pick, right here in my Western DVD package. I have pictures of Arthur Morgan and Red Dead Redemption all over it, but yeah, Fort Apache. Here it is. It's my DVD copy, Fort Apache. It's one of my favorite John Ford films, honestly. It's so much darker and like more mysterious than some of his films. I don't know, it's pretty good. So Owen Thursday sees his new posting to the desolate Fort Apache as a chance to claim military honor. And basically there's John Wayne and there's Henry Fonda, and they're kind of always at odds with each other in this power struggle. And it's a Paths of Glory kind of movie where you have someone who's so obsessed with duty and honor and so forth that he maybe gets his folks into trouble there. Henry Fonda does, but it's a less dukish John Wayne. Definitely one of the ones you should see, especially if you like the other Cavalry Trilogy movies, which are also really good. You should see Fort Apache. I know people that haven't seen it because like I said, it's not like John Wayne standing out there, being the like lead man. So maybe people have resisted it for that reason, but it's a really good John Ford film. And finally, I have a film I absolutely love. Just love it. Just love my Late Spring here by Yasujiro Ozu, 1949. Noriko is perfectly happy at home with her father, but maybe she needs to get married because her father thinks maybe she should. That's the plot. And Shishiru and Satsukahara, like, gosh, they're good together. I don't know that there's ever been a pairing like that in cinematic history. Hara is probably like my favorite actress, and he's one of my favorite actors, but like they're incredible together. It's a sad, poignant film, and I think this is the bicycle one where they ride the bicycles. It like the booklet. Oh my gosh, I forget how pretty the booklet is every time I look at it. Yep, this is the movie with the bicycle scenes, but like, oh, it's so like if you get the Criterion packaging, the essay is so pretty and it's so Ozu. This is one of the films that has great pillow shots where he would just like have something devastating emotionally happen, and then he'll like cue you over to like a random object, and you'll just sit there and be sad. Folks, Late Spring is a great introduction to Ozu. All Ozu is a great introduction to Ozu, but like Late Spring, love it. So, of this decade, those are my picks for my favorite from each year. As much as I love Late Spring, and as much as I would love to say that's my favorite of the decade because I love Ozu so much, it's got to be my favorite of the decade's got to be Leave Her to Heaven. This film just blew me away. It's so beautiful. The shots of the trees, and like the shots in New Mexico, and Gene Tierney's just so terrifying, and like it's so possessive and maniacal and just awesome. I love Leave Her to Heaven, but if it wasn't Leave Her to Heaven, it would be Late Spring. It probably would depend on which one I saw last, because I saw Leave Her to Heaven last, so it's probably why I'm picking Leave Her to Heaven. If beyond that, it might be like Pinocchio. I don't know. It's a really good decade for movies. So those are my favorites. If you like the video and want to click like and help grow the channel, that'd be great. Tell me what your favorites were of the 40s. Even by year would be awesome. I love recommendations from you all. And subscribe if you haven't. I'm going to do the 50s video, my favorites of the 1950s. That was even tougher than the 40s to pick those out. We'll see you next time. Cody in the Cinema.